Hello, everybody. Welcome into the energy forecast for the upcoming week. My name is Camille Craft. I'm the owner and creator of Vital Mystic, and we are going to move through a very quick, max 15 minutes, forecast for the upcoming week and what to focus on or expect. So, with that said, we are initiating. Hello, welcome in. We are initiating a powerful week of transformation, transmutation. We are gearing up for the first full moon in May. There's actually two full moons in May, this particular next month, and then it's sandwiching the new moon in Taurus. So this entire month is about recalibrating your worth and recalibrating from that space of being a catalyst, but also being in that choice between looping back of to what you've already experienced and then just taking a simple step towards what you actually want. So this week we are gearing up for the illumination of the Beltane full moon. It is a Scorpio full moon. Scorpio does not mess around. It is one of the most powerful signs of the zodiac, I feel, because it's there to show you exactly what you need to release. When we think about the line between Taurus and Scorpio, the opposition between these two signs is, okay, Taurus represents the Empress, wealth, worth, your ability to create success, your ability to create that foundation. But Scorpio also represents and it brings to illumination the very shadows, perceptions, or even fears in which, like, that need to be illuminated, like almost like drawing up from the sludge, right? And so a lot of times our mind could be like, well, I'm doing all the right things. I'm doing all the right steps. I'm doing all the right strategy. Why am I not feeling like why am I not seeing that momentum? And so ultimately, there's going to be a particular chapter that ends, a way of thinking, maybe a transformation, just a choice that you've been making that is going to come into illumination under this full moon. And then also, I want to point out that this full moon is literally on Beltane for us here in the Northern Hemisphere. Samhain for those in the South. So these are also very on point themes of fertility, renewal, new beginnings, and then also, transformation, death, rebirth, reclaiming your power. And then they're also swapped, right? So because, a lot of times we think like, okay, I want more success, I want more visibility, I want more traction. But what is actually blocking you is your fear. And that's one of the biggest things of I have coached people who hold multi-million dollar companies all the way to entrepreneurs who are just beginning. And this is the one ritual that I tell them to do every single time that is going to help them move through something that right now is causing a standstill. So oftentimes this might look like something presenting from outside internally, like there's no other option. And there's actually always two choices. There's one choice, which is coming from fear or coming from faith. Those are the only two choices that we ever make when we are facing something that we are wanting to call forward. So I want you to ask yourself when you come under this illumination and under this particular ritual I'm going to give you is, what have I actually been avoiding? And what is actually the thing that I need to acknowledge within myself that has been brake pedaling my success? So, one of the biggest shifts that I ever made for myself was that I no longer allowed for the external world, other people's perceptions, projections, what the fears of what could or could not happen to determine how I was going to move in my life. And so that's a really big decision on like really reclaiming that level of sovereignty and also reclaiming and understanding that if you choose to believe there's power inside of your hands to shapeshift and create the world that you want, then it's going to be inevitable for you, right? That simple choice under this full moon is not only going to place the power back in your hands, it's going to completely catalyze you to open up a new trajectory and a new way of living or calling in wealth. And so this one ritual is what I often teach my clients. Which is, I want you to go into the worst case scenario. And this is something that we all avoid. Every single one of us avoids, but really go into the worst case scenario of whatever is there, like your worst fear, right? So oftentimes when my clients are getting ready to launch or their sales are slow or they're facing something where they might lose millions of dollars or whatever it is, I ask them to go within and I say, this is not something that you can strategize out of. Yes, you can come from the mind and come from the defensible position of like, how am I going to make sure this doesn't happen? But if you actually release the belief, at all that anything negative can happen to you, you've already won. Right. And so your ability to see solutions that you didn't see before is going to completely open the doors. And one of the best ways to do this is to actually confront what you are most fearful of. So I want you to think about if you have a launch, or if you're investing, or if you have something that's coming to a head, or a choice that's coming, like maybe you want to leave a job or whatever it is, or leave a relationship. I don't know what's happening in everybody's world, but because I know this, full moon is going to bring an ending, most likely this is the thing that we need to do. So I want you to ask yourself, what is my worst case scenario if I took this jump? What is my worst case scenario of this situation not panning out in my favor? What is my worst case scenario of actually not achieving the business, the wealth, the relationship, the visibility? What is my worst case scenario? Right? And so I want you to go fully in there on the full moon and confront every level of emotion, fear, what it would mean for you, all of those things, what people are saying about you, all of those things. Some of us have a deep fear around failure. Some of us actually have a deep fear around success. But as long as we're pushing away something and not actually addressing it, we are forever going to subconsciously avoid what actually needs to be done in order to create that success. So under this full moon, you're going to untie yourself from that reality before it even happens. And one way of going about this is, what is my worst case scenario? What if I take this jump or make this next step or I take this move or whatever it is, even though I don't have control over everything outside of me or how this is actually going to go, I can control how I see myself and how I respond to this initiation. And if you start seeing as everything that is either not juicy for you or like whatever it is, if you start seeing as everything either good or bad as an initiation for you to reclaim your power and see how powerful you are, you're going to start to rewire the way that you see yourself and you're going to start moving differently. So under the full moon, you want to confront your greatest fear. You're going to want to confront, what would it mean for me to for this business to fully fall apart? Or what would it mean for me to like take that jump? Or what would it mean for me to fully like stand up and say this thing or whatever it is? And I want you to go into that reality, right? So this is a common ritual that I tell my clients, especially when they're up against a lot of things and it doesn't seem like the success is working out for them, which is also just a facade, by the way. Like, your success is destined, but we have to be able to release particular beliefs about ourselves. And this is that real life initiation. So go into your worst case scenario, the actual feelings of failing or somebody canceling you on the internet or losing all your money or losing your platform or losing whatever the fuck it is. And then go in there and let it all come out. Right? Let the worst case scenario come out. Get yourself, cry, scream, whatever you need to do, come all the way out, get yourself back to neutral. And the one thing I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, what is my first step from here? What is my first step from here? And when you come from that space and you watch yourself in your mind's eye, take one step, take another step, take another step, take another step, and you bring yourself all the way back to neutral, you no longer are going to be fearing that worst case scenario because you've already created a solution. And what you do is you actually reclaim your time. And in that moment, your mind is going to be open to other possibilities and opening other doors. Most likely the solution is always right in front of you, but it's really asking you to see like your power is within you, right? Your power is within you. It has nothing to do with the external world. It has everything with what story that we're telling. And so this particular full moon is about that story. Because this full moon is in Scorpio, that Scorpio full moon is going to illuminate the exact perception, shadow, block, or thing that is actually keeping you from making more money or creating wealth. And it's not going to be comfortable, right? Scorpio is it stings, right? It's a sting, it's a tail, right? And it's being able to illuminate what am I actually afraid of happening when I go that big, or when I shine that big, or when I allow myself to, take that move? Maybe it's an investment, maybe it's like a step in the right direction. Whatever it is for you, the thing that you're fearing the most is probably going to hold the exact key that you need to unlock for your success. And because we have a full moon on this particular day of all days in Beltane, this is about new beginnings, but in a way that you're not going to be able to continue to tell the same stories about what is going to happen around your fear and taking that step of faith, because that's actually how we catalyze new momentum. So, in addition to that, on this particular full moon, Mercury is going to conjunct Chiron. And so, the reason why I talk about this is because Chiron is in Aries around identity, right? It's about, and it's Mercury conjunct Chiron. So, something, some conversation, the way you think, the way that you're like, whatever it is, that's a real initiation. It's saying you can't tell the story that you're not good enough. You can't tell the story that you don't have the ability to do it anymore. You can't tell the story that you don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Where can we reclaim that power in that story? And then in that ascension, in that ability to choose to do something, even if it looks like you have no options from the inside out, you reclaim your power within that space. And remember, this is the first full moon of two full moons this month. The second one is going to be in Sagittarius. And that particular full moon is going to help you take the brake pedal off. First, it's going to expose the fear about projection or shadow around other people or things having power over you and your wealth. And then it's going to have you see or illuminate where you're brake pedaling your own momentum, right? And then right sandwiched in between that is going to be the new moon in Taurus, which is here for you to help you tell a new story about your worth, your success, the way that you make money, and how you're going to continue to build a foundation. So if you're hitting that threshold, if you feel like some things have been collapsing or not working for you, that's a good thing, because it's asking you to recalibrate who you are on the inside out. And the only way that we're going to do that is by removing a long-term belief about whether or not you are powerful enough to create what you want. And that I see it across the board. I just had a conversation with somebody who's like really multi millions, right? And so they're still facing stuff in their business, and they drew in the exact opportunity for them to face this belief, holding that level of responsibility. And so the only way to actually release that before anything karmically happens is to go within and release the belief that this thing has power over you. That's the only thing. That's the only action that you need to take under this full moon. The second thing I'm going to say about this week is that once the full moon passes, that's your time to recalibrate, right? Whatever is being illuminated in this moment, and whether, it's kind of giving you a mirror of saying, hey, you want that success? Well, you got to look at this. If you want that visibility, you got to look at this. If you want that money, you got to look at this, right? And that's basically what it's doing. It's pulling the veil off of the illusion that your power is outside of you. And that ultimately the only thing that we have control over is the narrative that is happening, and the actions that we do or do not take, and the energy that we're working with. And so this full moon is asking you to release a long-term belief, experience, or story that has kept you hidden or at bay from receiving wealth and the things that you truly want. So on Saturday after the full moon, because the full moon is on Friday, on May 1st, on Beltane, we'll have Mercury move into Taurus. And that's going to give you the strategic calibrative steps on how to bring this next chapter into form. It may not necessarily be completely obvious right away, but when we can remove that original wound or that original story or that original belief about failure is the only choice that I have, or, like this bad thing's going to happen when I do this, when we can remove that story, we can start to rebuild. And so what's going to happen between May 2nd and May 16th is you're going to recalibrate in real time. And we have a lot of powerful conjunctions and powerful energy for wealth in May. And you want to make sure you're in a space of receiving that, right? You want to make sure that you are in the space of grounded connection with your body, and you're moving from the state of this is already mine and this is what I'm available for, not from, wow, what are all the negative things that are going to happen when I receive that? right? So I want you to clear those things this week because it's going to skyrocket you in the next 4 weeks. And by June 1st, you're not even going to recognize your life. So, but it again, it comes from the story of worth that you are telling from the inside of your being every single day. So watch what illuminates for you. Go into your deepest fears around success, money, what it's going to be working or not. Whatever thing that you're coming up against or things that are being illuminated for you or being acted out in your life, reclaim your power under the May 1st, full moon, and then start to recalibrate so that by the time we come to that new moon in Taurus, May 16th, your identity no longer resonates with the possibility of those things even being like even occurring for you, right? You're in a space of receiving miracles, receiving wealth, opportunities, people instantly come into your field. Like that's what you're claiming that you're available for. And I want you to get very clear, like what part of me does not actually believe that's possible? And what part of me in my worst case scenario around holding success or fear or the next level or whatever it is that you're calling in, what part or story of my identity or the fear of what's going to happen that somebody could take my power or they could, like knock me down or whatever it was, go into that worst case scenario and release yourself from it because you're going to completely transform in the next 4 weeks. And then as we come into that full moon in Sagittarius on May 31st, then you're going to be able to fully skyrocket, right? You're going to fully see all of those things of if I just took my foot off the brake pedal and allowed myself to fully come into that, I don't know how, but I will. What is possible for me, right? And allowing for yourself to retell that story. So again, we're going to be leading a 2-week ritual series under some of these conjunctions and some of these alignments. If you're interested, you're going to want to go ahead and comment X or reply X on any of our stories, and we'll get you signed up. It is going to be a 9-day immersion of reclaiming your wealth and your sovereignty. So I hope you all have an incredible and beautiful day. Please check out the podcast. I give some more recommendations on that as well. And I hope you have an incredible week. Don't forget to face your fears. They are the very alchemical doorway that is here to help you make more money. All right. Bye, everybody. Oh, you have to, I see everybody commenting. Thanks so much. You have to go on to our static ones because the automations aren't set up here on our live. So go to any of our posts or go to our stories and just respond with X, and then we'll send it to you. Bye, everybody.